We've been live the whole time. Hi guys!
Hello.
It's Starr Mazer TV. Welcome back. This is our February, whatever the date is, issue 15th. February 15th. I should know that as there's only 6 days left in our Kickstarter campaign. I should be counting down the days, but no, I'm not even paying any kind of attention. I'm not staying up all night staring at the stupid kick track and hitting refresh. I fell asleep on an episode of Starr Mazer Television. I just went out because I've gotten like 2 hours of sleep at a time, whenever, I don't know. So hi guys, welcome back to Starr Mazer Television. We have 3 special guests today. I myself, of course, Don Thacker, director of Starr Mazer. In your little window here, yeah, I'm doing it right here, is Rekcahdam. He is an audio producer, sound producer, music producer. He's awesome. We'll talk to him in a minute. I'm going to introduce everybody else. We also have
Christopher Floyd from Indie Mega Booth.
Have you ever said your name before?
No.
Is this the first time?
I didn't think we were going to introduce Zach, or what was going to happen.
No, and then we also have, I'm going to reach across your phrase. We also have
Zach Aikman.
Zach Aikman.
Lead engineer at 17 Bits for making Galaxy, another space-themed game.
Yeah, another procedurally mission space thingy.
With a very excellent talk given at Unite 2014, right?
Every time he brings this up, yes.
Yeah.
So we're of Zach. We've had on before, as you guys remember. We played Indiana Jones: The Fate of Atlantis very poorly. When he left, we failed. It was the worst. So yeah. All right. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna have everybody kind of talk about what they do in the games industry first. Throw some questions from the crowd, and then we'll get into some specific talks. So first, let's start with Rekcahdam. Why don't you tell everybody? And I've got you. You guys are gonna hear a little bit of an echo because I need to be able to hear Rekcahdam. He's not in the room, so you're gonna hear a little bit of echo
Thank you very
from
much
me.
for the tea, Vanessa.
You're very welcome.
But
I hope you enjoy it.
I'm going to set it back down here because it's really
It's
hot.
really hot. Sorry, that's what the tea
But
was for.
it does look good.
Rekcahdam, tell the audience what it is you do and what you're most notable for. Go for it.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Awesome. Yeah, so I do a lot of stuff. I am a programmer. I also do composition or music composition for games, and also do trailers for games. So what I'm most notable for, or I guess my most popular project, is a game called Celestial Mechanica that I did the programming and music for, and I worked with all year on it. And right now I'm working on a project called Band Saga, which got funded on Kickstarter, and I'm
Right.
Yeah,
That's
Band
how I
Saga.
recognize your name.
So let's talk a little bit about Band Saga. Tell the audience what Band Saga is and why everybody in the room we're all like, yeah, you said Band Saga.
Well, Band Saga is basically it's a sequencer matched with a Zelda / roguelike style game where the music actually generates the levels, so you can actually write your own music, like legitimate music in this game, and share it with other people, and people can play your music as an actual level in the game. So that's the basics of it.
What part of that do you like? What did you do on Band Saga? What is your
I'm doing all the code, and I'm also composing all the music as well.
Do you have a whole team, or
It's
is it just
me
you?
and a animator, basically. So it's just 2 people.
Nice. Cool. Where did the idea of Band Saga come from?
I don't know. I was thinking about games like Mother 3 is one of my favorite games, and the way it uses music intertwined with like the RPG elements, and just my love for music in games in general, like music in Zelda, and how you can use the Ocarina of Time to like actually kind of manipulate the world. That I thought that was awesome. So I felt like, wait, what if you could actually create your own music but it affected the world like 50 times more than in other games.
Wow.
So
That's cool. So you're working on the transmedia collusion of music and games, which is pretty neat. You also do game trailers, which where are you located in the United States?
right now I'm in Richmond, Virginia, but I kind of
Virginia, that's great. So you are not a competitor to my company, Imagos Films, that does commercials for video games. That's wonderful. We can be friends, pals, the best. No, I'm just kidding. So Imagos, my company, also does a lot of convergence. We try to make film stories and game stories kind of combine. Bringing music into game stories is kind of a combinational thing too, which is pretty great. We're doing that obviously with Starr Mazer. We've got all kinds. By the way, this is Starr Mazer Television, so I'm gonna bring everything back to Starr Mazer at some point.
Okay.
That's kind of a thing.
Makes sense.
But yeah, no, we're super into getting the idea of a video game experience being story and music and agency. Like, to me, that's what a game is. A film is story and music, right? That's the ultimate conclusion of those two things. The best movies have the best soundtracks. There's not a movie that you think is your favorite movie that doesn't have amazing
Right.
music. Like, that's very rare to find somebody who's like, oh yeah, I love the movie, but the soundtrack was total shit, but the movie was great. Like, that very rarely happens.
Sure.
So I think storytelling plus music is movies. Storytelling plus music and agency is games, and that's kind of what we're doing. So that's cool. That's why Rekcahdam's a relevant guest on our show. I would like to know, however, why Chris Floyd. How did you say your name? Christopher Floyd.
Christopher Floyd.
Christopher Floyd is a valid guest on our show. What is it you do?
I don't know.
You have no idea why you've been on our show.
I was talking to Zach about this before we got here.
Like, why am I even
Actually,
going
met
to
him
this dumb show?
I met him on the street.
Just a few
Each
minutes
other, I was
ago?
like, you look like you might be interested.
Yeah, you have a beard. It's cool. Come on to the show.
So I work at Indie Mega Booth. We put lots of games together at industry events across the globe, including Penny Arcade Expo,
Mhm.
Yeah.
the Electronic Entertainment Expo.
Why do you have to get all of your answers like verified by Zach? You can't actually like.
I was trying to remember how stupid E3 sounds when you like parse it out.
Yeah.
So yeah, PAX, E3, Gamescom,
BBC.
GDC.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we just like do a lot of stuff where we get a lot of game people together to one, use the thunderclap effect to have lots of smaller fan bases unite to create one big fan base
Right.
for what we do. And then we also find a lot of developers just want to be in the mega booth because they like hanging out with other developers.
That's fair. I made a whole TV show for it.
Yeah, which is a cool thing. So we get do a lot of focus on like younger teams that are starting out and like how good it is to have them surrounded by a bunch of people who maybe have a better handle on what's going on, so they can help each other solve each other's problems, and they can play their games and say, oh, I see what you're doing here. Like,
Sure.
that is a really easy problem to fix for
Yeah,
people.
I have found that if you have a game in the mega booth, other games in the mega booth are way more likely to be seen than like other games at PAX.
Yeah.
So if you're like, hey, go check out X game in the mega booth, when the person comes back and you're like, did you check out that game?
Yeah.
You never hear, yeah, it was cool. You always hear, yeah, and I also saw games.
Yeah.
And I think the mega booth helps with that. I think density and I don't know, I'm trying to figure out this terminology, hipness of some variety.
Relevance?
Relevance is
Cultural
important.
relevance.
Cultural relevance is super
Cultural
important.
relevance.
But there's also like, even if you're not getting the cultural relevance, even if it's not making sense to you,
Yeah.
even if you don't know why Papers, Please is a genius, like an act of pure genius.
Yeah.
You can go in there and there's an air around it that's not like Nintendo not understanding why Bayonetta is popular with
Right.
13-year-old boys.
Yeah.
Like, there's not that.
We try to focus a lot on games that will capture the attention of people who have 10 seconds to decide whether or not they actually want to go look at something.
Yeah.
And then countering that by putting things near it that are then like a little bit of a harder sell. Because the big thing about being on a show floor is that if you're like, hey, come check out my like extremely complicated game that takes approximately 5 hours to like open itself up, people don't want to do that.
Right.
Because they could also line up for Assassin's Creed for
Yeah.
4 hours.
Sure.
That's a big ask.
And play Assassin's Creed again.
Yeah.
It seems a lot like Assassin's Creed. This one, Assassin's Creed.
This third Assassin's Creed is awfully like
Yeah.
the other two Assassin's Creed.
A lot like it.
Yeah.
So, how did you hear of Starr Mazer the first time? The first moment.
First time I heard of Starr Mazer,
Yeah.
it's like origin stories.
We're gonna go. This is Assassin's Creed 0.
First remember hearing about Starr Mazer in, I think, my apartment when Chase Martin was in my apartment telling me that he was going to help with the Starr Mazer Kickstarter.
So you had no idea. You were just like,
And I was like, cool. And then he said, do you know anything about Kickstarter? And I said, sure. And then he said, okay, can you give me your thoughts? And I did. And then that was it.
great. And from then on, you just, oh no, Kevin Rocket Cat has some breaking news. Bad news. He's heard Obama has outlawed stew forever.
Oh yeah, no, that was...
He just signed it into legislation.
That was on Friday.
Keppa, that's Keppa from Rocket Cat Games.
Yeah. I know Kappa. Kappa, we're gonna have high tea next week, I think.
He actually mailed us stew
That
to
sounds
eat
like a
on the
thing
show. We have two functional tropes on the show: stew and pizza.
He actually mailed you like
stew,
like what?
stew,
Vacuum
stew,
seal?
like beef stew.
Like a
Was
can of
mailed
it or
to us.
homemade?
Homemade beef stew.
Wow,
Was
nice.
mailed to us.
Because you're not allowed to
Are we gonna eat
mail.
that today?
But no, we ate it already on show.
Fuck.
And then Fuzzy from the audience came and made stew here.
Wow.
It was the day before yesterday.
And then
Friday.
who is this fuzzy
Weird.
guy?
Fuzzy? That's the guy. He's a apparently a moderator now, I think, right?
Yeah.
But he's a friend of the show.
Cool.
He's been with us since episode 1, and he even came was on the show for 2 episodes.
And he wants to know about the favorite game that I played at PAX South and why was it Mergazerds?
Yeah.
Now I am very interested that you have an accurate spelling of Mergazerds there. That makes me think that maybe you know what's going on in the Mergazerds verse. Did you see our Mergazerds?
I haven't seen Mergazerds.
Have you heard of Mergazerds?
No.
I neither have heard of Mergazerds.
So,
Can you explain?
origin story number 2. So Mergazerds, if you ever played Broforce,
Yeah.
Broforce is a great American foreign policy simulator that's coming out on Devolver.
Uh-huh.
And Ruan, they're from South Africa, and Ruan, who's working on it, was at PAX South showing Broforce. And we had a bunch of streams at PAX South. I think we had an hour every day. And I left an empty spot in the stream because my plan was to go around the show floor and find someone cool to show their game off. And then I forgot to do that. And then on Saturday night, I remembered this, and I was hanging out with Ruan, and I was like, do you know anyone who would have a game to show? And he's like, oh, you should show Mergazerds. And I said, what is Mergazerds? And he said, let me go get my laptop. And he brought down Mergazerds.
Huh?
And Mergazerds is like, if you ever played QWOP
Yeah.
or GURP,
Yeah.
it's like that, only it's like a Pacific Rim fighting game.
Oh, sweet. Okay.
So you play as like, I can't remember what you call that term. I want to say Sentai, but it's not Sentai. Like those giant
Those are
robots.
you're thinking of the Power Rangers.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But what do you call the people? What do you call the robots they assemble into? Apart from Mergazerds.
Zords?
Zords.
Zords and Power
Yeah,
Rangers. I don't know what they're
Zords,
called.
Zords, yeah.
Well, so they
I
can,
think Mergazerds is a play on Megazoid or
Yeah,
Megazord.
Megazords.
So they-
Swords.
so you have like 1v1 of these monsters destroying each other in like destructible city environments, and it's really hard to control, but it's really fun because when you're fighting someone else and you both can't control your thing right, you can accidentally hit the button that makes your head detach from your body. And it's like a little ship that you can fly around. So I played, so Rand and I played each other, and then we also played against, we started off with me and Trin Garitano from Cards Against Humanity.
Huh?
And she detached her head like 10 seconds into the game. and then like beat me to death with just her head. It was pretty incredible. I don't know if you can actually play Mergazerds anywhere. It might be so exclusive that it's locked down for life. But
This is the other trope.
oh, I see. But never had this.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't grow
Oh,
up in
you were in
America.
the chat. You were in.
Where did you grow?
In Ireland. So Mergazerds, yeah. So it's a weird thing. You should check it out. I can't remember your name right. Is it Fuzzy Ski or
Yeah.
Fuzzy Skill?
It's Fuzzy Ski.
Okay. So, Fuzitsky, you should try to see if you can find a link to Mergazerds anywhere. I don't think it's accessible, but probably if you email the Broforce support team over and over again, Ruan might do something about it.
Shitty Voltron sounds like it might be a close replacement.
Well, he's saying that they did a game jam where it was like the same concept.
Yeah. Shitty Voltron looks really fun. I saw that at the Pig Squad event in Portland. It was pretty neat. So, cool. Zach,
Yo.
describe for people who may not know who you are.
Hi, I'm Zach.
Describe the indie
I work at 17-Bit. 17-Bit is a small studio here in Seattle. We made a game called Skulls of the Shogun, which you may have played before. And we're currently working on a game called Galaxy, which is a top-down 2D space shooter, heavily inspired by early 80s anime like Robotech, Macross, Starr Mazer, those sorts of shows. We're basically trying to take 16-bit era games and modernize them with modern AI and design and physics and all that stuff.
Impossible.
So that's our inspiration. It is
Can't
impossible.
do it. Don't do it.
We'll
Modern
see.
game mechanics and old school
Mix.
games don't work. You can't mix those things. Don't do it.
Oh, someone thinks they've met you.
Who's Lanodia?
Oh wait, it's Raj.
Yeah. Until it's a capital I or an L.
Yeah, it could be Yanodia.
So I'm the lead engineer at 17-Bit, so I do a lot of programming, a lot of other stuff. I also organize a lot of indie developer-related events here in Seattle. So that's what I do.
This episode of Starr Mazer TV brought to you by Surge. The choice
Is it really?
of the
brought to you
right
by Surge?
generation. No, it's not. We're not actually legally allowed to say that, but I'm
You should
saying it
get it.
anyway. It's the case. You have to drink that, though. That's part of the being on the show.
I know. That's why I was looking at the ingredients.
The ingredients are shit. It's like,
It contains 2 different kinds of yellow.
yeah,
Yellow 5 and
ruminated
yellow
vegetable
6.
oil, sugar,
Tastes delicious.
corn syrup. The
Potassium
worst.
benzoate (parentheses to protect taste).
Technic 105 says Starr Mazer, Rekcahdam hype, super hype. We're super lucky to have Rekcahdam on the show. Yeah, double thumbs. That's the best.
Someone jealous of your mustache.
Starr Mazer, Zach, I'm Soup's jelly of your magnificent mustache. Tell me your secrets.
Thank you.
S-Rain wants to know the secrets of your stash.
I actually don't have a secret. The secret is that my hair just grows naturally curly, I guess. This is a mess, but the nice part is that this comes in really easily. So I don't know, I just sort of grew it and tried waxing it. No wax today, just all natural.
Waxing
I
to
don't-
style, not to remove hair.
Yeah, oh
You
god.
know,
oh
weird-
god.
we
tried
Yes.
waxing it today.
Waxing this to remove it.
So, it's been pointed out that Rekcahdam doesn't have a surge.
oh god.
And we apologize that we
Can
cannot give you a
send-
surge over the internet.
It's okay.
It's the worst.
It's okay. I wish I had a Surge because I actually like Surge.
Do you like
yeah, I
Surge?
like Surge.
Yeah.
Surge is the greatest.
Is it like a? Can you tell me the origin story of Surge? When did you have your first Surge?
When I was like
Because
11
this is
or
my
12.
first Surge right now.
Yeah, it was. Surge was Coke's version of Mountain Dew. It was to fight the Mountain Dew thing.
Okay.
But Surge became immediately tied to the early console gamer generation.
Oh really?
That's why we have Surge on the show. It's Surge before Mountain Dew became like the sports beverage, which makes no sense because
it's so extreme.
Yeah, before it took the extreme thing because Surge was like it for whatever reason they accidentally caught the gamer crowd and some like rich white marketer dude was like, seems like these two crowds like the same thing, and then for I don't know a year it was like the gamer beverage, and then Coke was like, gamers are fat people that live in basements, and then they canceled Surge and Mountain Dew took over the skate or the snowboarding crowd.
Okay.
And gamers have been left with with nothing really. Like there's a big gaping hole.
Gamers were left with nothing.
They were left with nothing in the form of a highly
No commercial
caffeinated
product
citrus.
placement.
So did it like
beverage.
recently come
They were
back?
like, how can I get high scores without knowing?
Wait, what was that?
Did you come back?
Yeah, so Surge, you can only get it on Amazon right now. apparently some companies are purchasing large orders from Amazon and selling them at retail, which is pretty neat. We bought a fridge full.
Is it true that a majority of the Kickstarter money is going towards Surge?
Okay, let's see how I can say this technically. It is not true that a majority of the Kickstarter money is going towards Surge. It is, however, true that a majority of the Kickstarter money is going to fulfill the debt requirements that I had to incur to get the Surge. So technically it's going to creditors and debtors.
But not Surge directly.
Not directly Surge. There's a small paper trail you can follow. That's a joke. I'm kidding. That never happened.
Zach, would you say that while you can't confirm or deny that there will be Surge, you believe that there will be Surge during the development of this game?
Yes. We had a lovely chat about Peter Molyneux earlier today during lunch. And his promises and failure to deliver on them.
Yeah, that's not a thing. That's actually something that we've had to kind of. I saw that video. I was so offended, man. I was one of the people. I'm sorry. I apologize if you had any confidence in me previously. I'm sorry to say this. I actually backed Goddess, thinking it would be this 22 cans thing. I mean, sure, the game where you had to click the little pixels was a piece of shit and didn't do anything. But the Goddess was gonna be it. I was gonna. So I did it, and Goddess is like the worst of Farmville and the shitty sims. It's like it's black and white without the fun.
So you played it?
Oh yeah.
Have you played it?
No. This is part of like an early backer or a backer early alpha.
You can play it now. It's on like.
Yeah,
Oh.
you can get it.
Do you have an Android device?
I do have an Android device.
Have you ever downloaded a game on a TV show?
So here's the trick. Here's the trick. It doesn't. It delivers zero of the promises. It is. If you open up Black and White, Black and White is 1,000 times more complete and well thought, and that's his game. Like it's the shittiest game. It's not even really a game. It's like the shittiest version of Black and White with in-app purchases. Because who gives a shit?
I remember.
Let's just rape everyone.
I remember at GDC
For their money, I mean.
last year. I went to Peter Molyneux's like big Goddess unveiling, and at the end of this, so he was in this like huge room that had let me think, probably it was one of the larger conference rooms, so it probably had like 400 or 500 people in it. And at the end of this unveiling of the game, like the actual like here's the thing in action.
Yeah.
He mentioned the hotel he was staying at and the room number, and said, if you stop by anytime over the next week, I'll be there and you can just come check out Goddess.
What?
And I just forgot to go do it. It was stupid. I could have hung out with Peter Molyneux.
You should have. What a great story.
Play his game.
So the story that I was trying to get to was I was watching that video, the most recent video.
The backers one?
I don't know. It was just
The
it was
one
all over
with
the news.
Community guy, Peter Molyneux, and Conrad.
Is kind of the developer guy,
The combat developer guy.
Conrad. With a K.
With a K.
Yeah. So here's the trick. That video was so fucking condescending and shitty toward everybody who put a penny into that guy's. Like, he was basically like, and this is my worst Peter Molyneux impression. Please forgive me. Well, I don't actually do anything with the game, and sure, we've said some things, and they don't really matter. Conrad here. He heard what he was thinking about it and is going to do it better. You see? Now, I promise, though I've got another game, it's great, it's a brilliant game, it's the best game, it's the greatest game ever. The Trail.
Which we're not talking about right now, which he says 3 times.
Yeah. I've got another game I'm actually spending all of my time on. I've used your money to do it, but I'm doing that. Conrad's going to do great things with it, and I'll definitely look at it every once in a while. I'm like, what the fuck, man? You're gonna change everything.
Yeah.
By virtue of you being incredible, and you changing games forever. And what I got is an old white dude saying the same shit old white dudes always say, which is, I don't know, man, but I'm gonna do my thing. It's gonna be great. Check it out. Give me some more money. And I was really baffled. I was stunned by that.
So,
and I don't like it.
Zach and I were talking a lot about like the importance of producers, things like that. But there's one of the good bits where he said that, because you touched on it in the start of your impression, that he said, while I'm not directly working on Godus.
Yeah.
In a way, I'm more involved than
Yeah,
anyone else.
yeah. No, like, what does that mean? Yeah, because he cashes more of the checks than anyone else. That's how directly involved he is.
It was a little strange.
I don't. So the reason I bring this up, Jack Dave just said something as well that I actually go with. The reason I bring it up is that he is a cause, not the only cause by any stretch, but a major cause of a lot of the concerned people. When I get messages from people on Kickstarter, they're not like, I really like the look of your game, I wish it wasn't pixel art, or no, they are, I really want to give you money, I'm terrified you'll just disappear with my money.
Sure.
That's the majority, 80% of the messages we get, and
And do you say, well, I can't confirm or deny that I will disappear?
No, I don't say that at all. I say we made a promise and we're going to stick with our promise. We're not going to change the scope. If we get $160,000 or $160 million, we're making the same game we're going to make. The $160 million would make it probably a little sweeter, but we're not changing the scope.
Uh-huh.
We're sticking with the game we made. We made a promise. We're going to stick with the promise. We can do it in that period. But telling that to somebody, when you've got basically somebody you can turn over millions of dollars in company money every year, if not hundreds, you get that person kind of just mulling over dreams and throwing out these giant, like, massive statements that don't, anything we say will always be compared against that. I don't have the gall, lack of discrimination, incredulity, or dismissiveness of humankind to make bigger statements than his, and thus I can't compete with, well, Peter Molyneux said he was going to do X and he never delivered, and he has millions of dollars and all that, so why would I expect some ragtag group of 9 people from Seattle?
Yeah.
And it's the worst scenario. And I'm getting that constantly. And I'm not saying, like, if we fail, which it doesn't look like we're anywhere near, but if we were to, I wouldn't be like, oh, Molyneux! Like, that's not it. There's got to be a billion reasons. But I really don't know, how it is we're supposed to instill confidence in the average person if somebody who, by all accounts, outwardly has all of the success still can't deliver on his promises. Especially when he's chosen, for whatever reason, to make promises that are just ridiculous.
Sure.
And it makes anything, if you hit somebody with something that's not like, here's a finished game, all we need is your money to help put it in boxes. Like, that's the only, and people will still be like, are you sure I'm gonna get a box though? Like, that's still a problem that we run into. And
I feel like Molyneux is an outlier in that respect. Like, he has a history of doing this. This is not someone who was a respected developer who regularly releases their projects on time, failing to meet their deadline. This is someone who continuously overpromises and underdelivers. So I don't know if he can be taken to be an example of what Kickstarter projects
I think it's kind of interesting because I think it's good that people are starting to get a little more cagey about where they back things. There was definitely a point for a year or two where you could put anything on Kickstarter and it would succeed. It was just because the hype behind the platform was huge. Do you know who was the first person involved in Kickstarter?
Who?
David Cross.
What?
I read that this week.
Really? For what?
He was the guy who had the idea for Kickstarter. Wanted to meet with David Cross to talk about it, and David Cross said, "That's a great idea. I want to help you get it going."
Wow.
So,
I have no idea.
Weird thing. He's one of the people who's involved from the day one. But there was definitely a point where you couldn't fail, and I think that led to a lot of complacency.
yeah.
I don't think that's directly linked to the whole Godus thing, because I think a lot of the Kickstarter problems actually happen across virtually all Kickstarters. If not, I would say 80 to 90% all have the same problems. But I think a lot of it, a great argument I saw, which is very basic, is that one of the unfortunate things about letting people see the background of game development is that they find out that it doesn't always work out. Like, whenever you have a huge huge PR machine that's controlling like all of your story beats, and whenever you're going to like release this teaser in March and then this one in like September, that's cool, and it obfuscates a lot of it from the fans who just get to be excited about the thing, and then eventually they have the thing to be excited about. Whereas when you give people too much, when people get to see what actually happens, they get to find out that like it's not uncommon for like the on-disc DLC kind of fuss, where it's like the reason that that happens is because you can't guarantee it's going to be ready, so you have to ship it without it.
Yep.
And then what you have is like 50% complete, and it's on the disk because you might as well put that bit on the disk to reduce the size of things that we've got to download. But then you put a little bit of it to download, and you're like, okay, so we'll charge for that when it drives. And all these little things which seem really, really bad, which actually are kind of just onto nothing but like incompetence, and I mean that in like the most mild way. Like it's just like things just happen.
Yeah.
And there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
So I think it's good that people are starting to see that and starting to realize that, oh, like, you know, if I like back this thing, it's not always going to totally guarantee that it works, right?
Right.
But that's good because it means that there will come a point where there are people who deliver on their goals and there are people who don't. The people who deliver on their goals will carry on. People who don't will continue to not.
Right,
And
but
will just like fade off.
You have a modulus issue though with Kickstarter, which is you can't know whether or not those people are going, unless it's somebody
Well, you
who's
have
been
to
in the
go-
industry for 30 years
Sure.
coming back.
Mhm.
And that, by the way, that's a secondary. Another question we often get is why would I back your point and click adventure game if Double Fine's making one?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well, they don't. I hate saying this because I am sure they need it for whatever reason they need it, even if that need is marketing need. I'm sure they need it.
Mhm.
I'm not thinking that Double Fine's trying to screw something up or is doing anything illegitimate. But
Yeah.
there's this weird thing everybody kept telling me before we started our Kickstarter, which was, don't worry, there's not. You don't have to worry too much. Kickstarter's not competitive. You're not up against a bunch of other games.
No, it totally is.
That's totally the wrong messaging, completely. I don't know how many. I'm going only by what people have told me, and I'm sure there's hundreds who haven't. We have nearly 4,000 backers, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've gotten hundreds of messages from these backers. A lot of those messages were not from. Were saying, "Hey guys, your game looks really good. I wish I could play it. Let me know when it comes out. I've already backed my one project this month,"
Uh-huh.
or "I'm already too deep in Kickstarter. You should have launched it in the second of the month or whatever.
Sure.
I wish it'd come out." You're definitely
Yep.
against those people. So when something big comes out next to you, you're in trouble. The best thing you can do is hope that somebody's on a rush or whatever. I have no idea how to manage that. But the idea that you're starting a thing and if you're not an established studio, you don't have the opportunity to show people you are legitimate. You're not just like hacking
like
around.
a track record.
Yeah. So what we're doing for Starr Mazer is we have Starr Mazer TV every day, which gives you some insight as to what we're doing. We do a lot of questions and answers. We do have guests, but a lot of the show is talking about like what we're actually doing. Our dev blog is constant, eight times a day updated at the very least.
Wow.
During the actual development, we'll have Starr Mazer TV on a more regular schedule, not every day at 4 p.m. come see some special guests.
Sure.
We'll have special guests sometimes, and a lot of times it's going to be production meetings and meeting up and all this kind of stuff. We're exposing what we're doing. We're taking money.
Would you say that you're using Kickstarter to kickstart your game studio? Because I would say that's what Kickstarter is supposed to be used for.
Yeah, no,
I
that's
would
it.
say
It
someone
makes
thinks
me a
so.
little nuts that like people kickstart things that aren't
Like
exploding
products.
cats.
a kickstart
Like
as
the
an
$6 billion exploding cats.
Sure, like a Kickstarter is like when you start something from zero. Like you
Yeah,
say,
right.
I have a room and a dream,
Yeah.
and I've worked it out that I would need this much to make it happen. Do you think you'd want to help me out? And
We are
people say,
absolutely
yes.
doing that. We didn't form the company as an actual company. The idea has been around. Parts of Starr Mazer, the story system has been being worked on for 4 years, on and off, whenever I had time, whatever. The bullet patterning systems with Miles and we've been working on those for other that same system used in other games has been growing and stuff. But the idea is eventually we will Starr Mazer. But to do that, we need to first company, and we didn't start that company until the first of the year. When we're like, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna get together as a company, work for a month, take all this stuff and build our Kickstarter campaign, launch the Kickstarter campaign at the end of the month,
Yeah, that was
follow it
PAX
through.
South, right?
That was PAX South,
Yeah.
and follow it through. So yeah, there was no Imago Softworks. Now if you look at when our company went live, it went live 3 days before PAX. We're kickstarting the company, which will make the game, and hopefully if the game sells, we'll make more games. It'll be very cool. But yeah, we are kickstarting.
Can I ask you a business question?
Sure, yeah.
So you do video stuff, right?
Film stuff.
Yeah. Did you incorporate a different company for this?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay, so
But
it's
they're both called Imagos, and then
it's very complicated. We had to do this thing where we had to move because we only had Imago's films, and so the paperwork thing, which is by the way still even processing. So we hope it's gonna work, man. Is we had to take our film company and create a separate company, a holding company, and then transfer ownership of the film company to the holding Imagos. It's just Imagos.
Okay.
Imagos will then have Imagos Films and Imagos Softworks.
Okay, so it's like a
So
parent,
instead of having a game company as a child of a film company, which doesn't
gel.
at all, we had to. The film company had been around for 6 years, and we had to like make that.
So are you saying you've got a shell company?
It's not a shell company. It's actually a holding company, which is a real company.
You've made an evil shell company.
I've not made an evil shell company. Shut up. Shut your
The company that's just a phone.
There are 9 people. Shut up.
It's a
Shut
phone. It's a
up.
phone in like an empty office that just rings.
No.
There's no one there.
No. We, the holding company thing, like I said, it's not even like worked out yet. But there are 3 of us who own the Imagos
thing.
Yeah. The film company is those 3
Then-
plus some people.
Sure.
And Softwares is those 3 plus some other people.
So but they're essentially the film and the game are mutually exclusive.
Correct.
But there is then like there's the parent.
The-
It's like 2 kids that both went different directions.
Yeah. And the parents like, oh man, well this kid's into movies, this kid's into games,
Interesting.
but I'm the parent. Yeah.
Evil shell parents.
Evil shall stop. This has to stop. You have to stop saying words.
No, that's interesting. I was curious about that. I figured that's what you would have done.
Yeah. We couldn't. What I didn't want to do is just have 2 like competing companies, like Imagos Films and Imagos Software. Who are they? I don't know. They don't
Yeah,
connect.
why do they both have the same name?
Same name, yeah. So we had to do something that works. So
Is it true that you have Imagos Food Corp?
no, we would like it though. We're working on it. We're working to make pizza. We want a pizza company as well. Not.
Would you like to know a funny
I'm kidding.
story about Indie Mega Booth?
Yes, tell us the Indie Mega Booth story. A funny
Indie
one.
Mega Booth. This T-shirt I'm wearing is actually this was part of an ongoing joke
Illuminati.
that about
Illuminati.
people like yes.
Oh, Rekcahdam
He
knows it.
About the idea that like there is like this special group of indies that fly around in like a helicopter around the world, and no one gets to touch them, and like they control.
Wait, when you say
everything.
indies, you
Ron
mean indie
Carmel,
game
Ron
developers.
Yeah, John Blow.
Ron
Sure.
People have worked
Ron
this out.
Carmel, yeah.
Kelly Santiago.
Kelly
Joe and Jen,
Santiago,
like, you know,
sure.
Yeah, the Illuminati.
Of game developers.
Yes.
Yeah.
We recognize that's ridiculous. The most.
So
Fucking
we
video
did that.
game developers.
So we decided to do this T-shirt for PAX East last year, which I don't know if you can kind of see it. I'll try and unsearch it. So it says underneath that it's the Indie Megacorp Corporation, but that's actually the real name of Indie Megacorp. Which is because when it was being incorporated, Kelly, who is my boss, owner of Indie Mega Booth, made a mistake on the paperwork and didn't realize that Corp was going to automatically be appended to the name, so it's called Indie Megacorp Corp. And I know of at least one other game studio that has this problem too.
Which one?
Tales of
Did you say
Games.
Tales of Games
They're
Corp?
called Tales of Games Corp.
We don't have.
But
corp ourselves.
it goes well with Tales of Games because their whole thing is so like weird and convoluted. Kappa in the chat can tell you all about the weirdness of Tales of Games. I don't know, Rekcahdam, do you know Tales of Games? Because they're over your
Yeah, I mean, I've never met. Well, actually, I have. Oh, that's
Oh,
a
you
I'm
should.
sorry, that's a total lie. I actually met them in Tokyo. And I met Kelly as well. Totally forgot. Yeah.
Nice.
So.
Oh, in Tokyo, yeah, that's right, because you were over there for the 7
Yep,
thing,
and
right?
I also met Jake from 7-bit, 17-bit. I had ramen with him. He was pretty cool.
world.
So.
Yeah. Because there's like a really crazy good game scene that seems to be like percolating around the Virginia area. Like it's all like I know like 4 or 5 developers in DC, and then the sort of like the area that's not DC, but it's also like 5 minutes drive outside of DC. Like the suburban Virginia area.
Yeah, I don't
But
know.
yeah.
Like, it's funny. I actually only recently got back from Japan like a couple months ago. So I've been in Japan for a long, like a while. So it's
Yeah.
like I don't know any developers in in Virginia at all.
In the area. You should put some feelers out. There's definitely a couple people over there. Oh, Cap is now giving the story of
So read it out loud for the
That's a
children.
pretty good story. So it says, by the way, so Kappa is from Rocket Cat Games. He has shown with us in the Mega Booth before. We like working with Kappa. He's funny. We went waifu hunting at Gamescom. It's pretty good. There's a lot of creepy weird
Hunting
stuff
for
you can
waifus
get.
or hunting for
like the
people,
little waifu dolls. They've loads of them. They also have body pillows, and Tales of Games had a body pillow as one of their Kickstarter stretch
Oh my
goals.
god.
But yeah, so Kep is saying that he wore one of these very t-shirts through the airport, and the TSA woman asked him to explain the shirt, and he said that it was about video games.
That's nice.
pretty good. I heard a story recently about a guy who was going through the TSA line, and he was wearing some kind of shirt that like referenced Kyrgyzstan, and the guy was like, "What's the deal with your shirt?" And he was like, "It's my T-shirt." And he was like, "You know it says Kyrgyzstan on it?" And he said, "Yeah." And he was like, "Do you know that's where they like trained the Boston Bombers?" And he was like, "No, I didn't know that." And he was like, "Well, you should think about wearing that shirt when you're walking through." And he's like, "It was a T-shirt. Like, I wasn't wearing like a balaclava or anything." Super weird. They get hung up on things that are not important.
Yeah.
Which is so true of the rest of the world. We
Right.
can take away one lesson from today. Let's not worry about things that are under our control. Okay?
Agreed.
Let's do it.
Correct.
I'll drink to that.
Do what you can do, Zach. Other people will have to deal with it. Yeah?
Yeah.
The Zach Aikman
Does that
philosophy
even life,
to life.
life policy?
Drink surge.
I
Hell
finished
yeah.
mine. I don't know what you
Comes
guys
the rest.
are.
I'm getting there.
It's a citrus flavored soda. Yeah. So, do we have any more questions for anybody? We got 3 guests here, guys. I was expecting more
I got-
questions.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not gonna plan a whole bunch for the
I got a
beginning.
question.
Did you say something? What did you say, Rekcahdam? Go for it.
I got a question for Zach actually. So
All right.
So,
Ask him a really complicated development question.
no, I won't do that, but it does kind of have to do with the studio. And I don't even know if this is public knowledge, so kill me if it is. But
I think I know what you're going to ask, but go ahead.
Can you get a little closer
Hello?
to your mic so it's easier to hear you?
Hello?
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks.
but are you planning to move soon?
Yeah.
We talked about this on the last episode.
Soon.
Okay.
Yeah, the move was supposed to happen about a year and a half ago. That clearly didn't work out because I'm still here in Seattle.
Was that meant to coincide with anything?
Just had to ask that question. Yeah, so the move date, we do still want to move the office to Japan. The company is moving to Kyoto, Japan. And that's sort of tied right now to the game being finished, which it is not yet. So when the game is done, or at least when it's going through cert, we're going to move over there. Our founder, Jake, is over there already. He's in Kyoto right now. He went over there in September for the Tokyo Game Show and just stayed. So we're sort of split right now. We have a Kyoto branch and a Seattle branch, but the plan still is to move some of the rest of the studio over to Japan.
Okay. Cool. Yeah.
And I'm really excited.
Yeah. I met Jake. And it was weird because he kept like I was there for a while and he was telling me that he was gonna move, and then like I guess like a month later or whatever, I guess the whole team still wasn't over. So I was wondering.
Yeah.
I was wondering what was up with that, but I figured maybe there was complications or something like that.
Yeah. Jake is a great guy, but he likes to promise things that aren't necessarily in the forecast yet. Sort of like Peter Molyneux in a weird way. Creative directors are funny like that. They have really big ambitions and desires.
Their job is not details.
Their job is not details. And Jake is a hurricane. I'm sure if you met him, like he has a way of just sort of coming in and making shit happen. And that's like he did. Like he's over there. He's done part of the move already, and we have an office there. So it's definitely happening, and it's going to happen. It's just a matter of when exactly. It's just been pushed back a bit because the game gets delayed.
Yep.
So.
How long were you in Japan?
Man. So like pretty much off and on for like 3 years, 4 years since like 2000.
Okay.
2000. So yeah.
In Tokyo.
Yeah. But I mean I know a lot of people in Kyoto as well.
So Laser Kid asks, so are any of you awesome people doing a crossover with Starr Mazer?
Zach Aikman.
Everyone looks at me. Yeah.
Creative
so
director of 17-bit.
Yeah, we've talked about stuff.
Yeah.
We haven't announced anything formally.
The artist is working. It will be announced very soon. We can talk about it here. This is like the leak show. We just say whatever the fuck we want, man. Yeah, no, we're doing the art for it for the crossover.
Awesome.
Like right now, literally.
We're very close to finishing Galaxy. Very very close. But we want to definitely have some sort of homage to Starr Mazer and Galaxy because we really like the game. I think it's pretty awesome, and the universes can sort of overlap.
Super. Yeah.
Super overlap.
We're definitely including the Galaxy pilot and ship in Starr Mazer as well, to the degree of which we will point out in our actual update announcing it I think there's actually a press release about that one.
So official.
It's going all the way. Like our PR guy's like, oh, Galaxy, those guys are cool. I'm like, yeah, no, I actually, have you met those guys? Yeah, a lot. No, is the thing. That's why we're doing this. Yes, it's fine. You get that weird disconnected thing. There's like in the scene. So this is where I see the scene. So we're gonna segue for a second. There's like the scene.
Yeah.
Which I see the scene as a different thing, I think, than a lot of people see when they say the scene. When I say the scene, I mean it's like the 9 people I know who are actually making video games for a living. That's what they do, and that's what they concentrate on, and they spend their entire lives caring about video games. Then there's like the scene, which is all the ancillary like orbity stuff that happens, which carries with it this weird sort of cliquish, and I'm not saying it's in a negative way, but it's just like a contained, like a bubbled, like, oh, did you hear about the guy who said that?
Sure.
It's like, I'm not in that. No, I'm literally making a game forever. I don't know what's happening. The same way with the film industry. I don't know any of the fucking local people. I'm shooting things every day.
You don't have time to socialize.
Yeah, I'm not playing the game because I'm making real things for real, though. So I often get this like, oh, well, I haven't seen you at as many social events. No, you haven't. You've seen my stuff, though, a lot of it. In fact, they're showing it at this social event because I worked really hard to make a thing. So there's that kind of thing. And there's this sort of like the suborbital, which is the PR/pressy/ oh, yeah, no, I met this guy at a party, and I know that guy, and I know that guy, too. And they don't actually
Do anything
at all. And they love, like, talking to you for zero reason. It's just like, oh, yeah, but did you know that I knew this guy, and then I met that guy, and we hung out, and
That's me.
No, you do a thing. You provide a very clear service. You run a thing. You are more actually connected. So, like, I think I know you through one one Kevin Bacon, one
I'm Kevin Bacon.
You are Kevin Bacon, yeah.
Kevin.
Through honestly 90 different people.
Yeah.
Who like I've been on team showing at the Indie Mega booth 7 times.
Yeah, you did video with teams that we worked with.
I've done video with teams that you've done with. I've been on, like, I was the giant Reagan head for I'm writing Upsilon Circuit for Robot Loves Kitty, so I was the giant Reagan head at Upsilon Circuit. I've been with Keppa. You're like providing a giant thing.
But I'm not yet a name that gets dropped. That's my ambition.
You're on a TV show.
No, you're on a TV show, number 1. Number 2, you're a name that also it always gets dropped.
He's like, who do you want? Like, find some guests. We need some more guests. And I was like, Chris Floyd.
Well, I mean, there's context. You actually said the best I can do is Chris Floyd, and I was like, oh. But here we are, and we're going to make it work.
What she said was, do you know Christopher Floyd?
Christopher Floyd.
His name is CHRIS-TO-.
No, but there's this weird. So I find there's that kind of thing that happens with sort of the doers, and then like the.
That's true of any industry.
Oh, of course. But you can get caught up in this weird. I guess
Crossfire.
You get caught up in the.
Is that what you're saying?
How come you knew that but didn't know Surge?
Because my wife goes on about it all the time. It's like Jess's favorite thing.
Well, we need to get her some Surge.
Yeah, she probably likes Surge.
Yeah.
She probably does. I don't know.
Kitty is so friendly.
C. Floyd. They're suggesting C. Floyd. But no, the Galaxy Starr Mazer crossover is happening because we know each other, and it's not just random like, oh, there's a different game with space in it, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it true that you're partnering with EVE Online?
Because it's another game with space in it, bro.
No comment.
Yeah. There it is. Do you believe that you're working with EVE Online?
So as far as the other crossovers with people here, this is my first time ever actually meeting Rekcahdam, which is a damn shame.
Oh, no way.
A Rekcahdam shame. Again, it's because I'm not networking as much as perhaps I should be. I'm busy doing shows for you guys and code for you guys and writing things for you guys.
You're going to come out Tuesday night?
Yeah.
Is that a social event?
What was
No,
that?
I'm just saying it's pretty tough to.
You're just saying, yeah, okay, let's make it happen. Yeah, it's to a social event. The only social event I regularly attend is the Seattle Indies social.
Oh yeah.
But when regularly, I mean I've gone like 5 times over the course of forever. 5 times.
Are you guys gonna split up again? Have Austin at Full Indie? Because Full Indie is the same night.
I think it's probably what's gonna happen. Austin will have to go to Full Indie. Yeah, we're doing. So the Starr Mazer crew is going to GDC. In March, if you want to catch us, we're going to GDC. You'll probably be at GDC.
Mm-hmm.
You'll definitely be at GDC. Rekcahdam, are you coming to GDC?
Probably not. This will be like the
Yeah.
first year that I haven't gone in like 5 years.
Oh, perfect timing. So there's that. What about PAX East? You go to
Yes.
PAX East? That's closer to you. So we'll hang out then at
Of
PAX
course.
East. So the Starr Mazer team is also going to PAX East, like right at the tail end of GDC. Then from there we're going to South by Southwest.
Yeah.
Like literally days later. Are you going to South by?
Yes.
Then we're gonna hang out again. It's all the parties, and then the Imagos Films team, which consists of like 4 of them from like are going to Crypticon.
What is Crypticon?
It's like
It's like
a
a
horror
game
convention.
or
Our
horror
last
convention.
movie was a horror film. So
And where's Crypticon?
it's
It's here, isn't it?
yeah, some hotel near.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's big. It's nice. It's cool. I don't even know anything. Yeah. So
Friends of mine are going there.
yeah, we should all hang out when we can. Absolutely.
How do you find the difference between the game industry and the film industry?
That's an open question.
That's a question I can get in a lot of trouble for answering. Let's see. The game industry, there's a shorter path between saying you do a thing and being called out for not doing a thing.
Okay.
In the film industry, that path seems nearly infinite.
Okay.
If you have enough talk, you can manage the that works a lot. Games require us like by default a certain level. You can actually get onto a film set and seem as though you're doing a bunch of shit and have people not know because there's such weird personalities and everything's kind of fluid and he definitely knows what he's doing. It's just a new way. But like eventually you have to produce code for a video game. Like you have to actually make a game. Like that's the default. So there's that. I'm a pure doer. I think by doing you'll always be being.
Yeah.
Right. Like I kind of split people into 2 sections. There's like people who want to be a thing and people who want to do a thing. People want to be a famous film director, but like don't devote everything to making films and instead devote everything to talking to their friends and hanging out and having parties and telling everybody that they're filmmakers, but they're not because they don't make movies. I believe if you just like dig in and do a thing,
Yeah.
by default you will be the guy who does the thing, right? I mean, that's just logic. So the way to be a game maker for us is to make games. I've been a writer on 4 released games, and I'm currently a designer on one and a writer on 2 others. I've been in that world. I'm an ex-programmer, so I got all that stuff. I say ex because I don't want to do that for a living anymore. Not enterprise stuff.
Because it sucks, right?
It sucks. It's the worst.
Enterprise programming sucks. I don't know any. I mean, the game programming that I've dealt with, I don't know why anybody would ever complain about that shit, dude. How many unit tests have you written for Galaxy?
0.
Fuck you.
0. Yeah.
Fuck
Wait till you get
you.
the last 10% of the project really sucks.
Yeah,
It
does
does.
it?
That's the
'Cause
part- that's the part where I wanna
that's when you
quit.
realize you
Like,
guys have been
okay,
like
fuck.
jerking off at a computer screen for the last year and a half, as opposed to actually writing legitimate enterprise-ready code, right? And you're like, oh wow, there must be a reason all those high-paid programmers do all this extra crap.
It's-
and all I did was like smoke up and write some dumb shit, and now it's at the end, and I gotta make the game. I'm just kidding. I'm fucking with you. I'm joking.
You're half right because
Really?
Well, because when it's nice when you have a spec that's laid out for you.
Yeah.
And you just code to that. But when you don't even know what you're making
Right.
until it's done, it's like how do you build it in such a way that it can go in 100 different directions depending on the whim of your creative director.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, that's
And
rough.
that's yeah.
And the enterprise world has that as well with like salespeople. They're like, we just sold them a way to use telepathy to win a contest. It's like, bro, it doesn't. We sold $100 million. Make it work, and you got to make it work. But that happens a lot less than I think in the game. The first time I opened up game code, the first time I was asked to help on a game,
Yeah.
I realized, oh shit, I got this, because I opened it up, and this is like a 10-year veteran of the game industry. Somebody help me out. Let's do a thing. I'm like, cool. I opened up. I was just like, this is like a first level programmer worth of code. The ideas presented in the code were novel and neat and excellent and wonderful. The like actual coding education did not exist, and it's totally fine. I mean, again, Austin always likes to say, like, if a game comes out, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
And I'm from a world where like, well, Visa's doing penetration testing for the next 6 months.
Yep.
With a $4 million team.
Yep.
They'll break every line of code. That's why it matters. But
Yeah.
nobody does that. If the game works across platforms and you have a soft launch and you can then release patches, it's fine.
That's
So there's nothing really wrong with that.
Let's true in mobile games. Now we have in-app purchases and things where it actually doesn't matter where money is being transacted.
Sure.
But in general, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I'm not. I think something Austin is kind of always vocalizing when we're in interviews, which I think is really interesting, is that he points out that he's not a programmer.
Mm-hmm.
He's a game developer.
Mhm.
You have to program a little bit. Like I'd like to point out, I hung out a bunch at Fermi National Accelerator Laboratory in Batavia, Illinois, futzing around with the Pt1 and stuff. And those guys all have to code at a ridiculously high level.
Yep.
But they don't describe themselves as programmers. They're physicists.
Mhm.
Programming is just some shit you got to do
Yeah,
to
that's
do the high level physics.
true in a lot of labs.
And I think for games development, programming is just some shit you got to do to get to the end result, which is a game.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're working in a software shop and you're programming like enterprise products for blah blah blah, the programming is super important. The actual programming side, I don't think it should ever be the focus, which I think it kind of destroys all of my complaining about shitty code.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, there's that. Ian Nodia,
I need to remember.
go for it.
What is your cat's name?
Scuzzy.
Scuzzy is adorable, and she loves she loves pets.
Yes, she does.
I've never met a cat that's that affectionate.
Oh well, she's very affectionate.
She's very affectionate.
And she likes you, it seems. And now you're gonna go wash all of her fur off of her hands. Yeah.
Goodbye, Zach.
Ian Nodia says my friend's dad works at Fermilab. That's really cool. Is he one of the what level of physics does he participate in? That would be great. So guys, we have all these cool guests here, and normally you guys don't stop. We have to scroll to find questions. Have I just produced the ultimate triad of boringest guests? I don't think so, because each one of these people are really cool. So where are the questions at, folks?
You should ask Rekcahdam about Japan all the time.
Yeah, he spent a lot of time there. So Rekcahdam, what are you actually doing in Japan all the time?
Working and drinking.
So basically, you're Japan while you're at
Yes.
Japan. Isn't that what everyone does in Japan? Work and drink, that's the kind of gag. What are you specifically working on?
Well, I was doing some contract work, and then I kind of quit that, and then I started working on Band Saga, basically.
Nice. So do you find working in Japan on Band Saga easier or more difficult than working on it here in the States?
There's pros and cons to both, but when I first got back to the States, I was like, man, it's so much easier to work in the States because I don't know. I feel like in Japan, where I was staying at, it's such a community, and I have everyone knows me, and as soon as I walk out of the house, everybody's like, "Hey, Roger," and I'm like, okay, now I gotta go chill with this person, and I gotta do this and that, and the only time I really get to work is at 3 a.m. after all the bars close and everything is over with. That's when I get to work because I have to see all my friends for the day, or else it's crazy.
Can I? So I want to refactor this. The issue with working in Japan is that you're the hottest shit in Japan. That's the problem, is that you have too many friends and too much cool shit to do.
I guess.
Yeah.
I hate your life.
I mean,
Not really. That's awesome.
I don't think that I'm really
you gotta
popular
ask
or
some
anything.
questions.
I just
Yeah,
think
he's
that I don't know. I think that for everybody. I'd like to think that anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you have a group of friends who you kind of see every day, it feels wrong to not see them. It feels weird. Unless you inform
Yeah.
people, you're like, hey, I'm not gonna be here today or whatever, then it feels bad to not talk to them. I don't know. But in America, it doesn't feel that way. In America, you might not see someone for 5 years, and you'll see them after the 5th year, and you'll be like, hey, how you doing? And it'll be okay. But Japan, it's like you don't see them for a couple months, and they're like, "Where are you? Where are you?" So,
Wow, that's cool. So here's some questions. Jim asks, anyone thought of a crossover with any Telltale games? I'll let you know when they respond to any of our emails. Next question is, Rekcahdam, what made you want to get into what you wanted to do? Says Rec705.
Okay. So should I tell the long story or the short story?
We have time.
Well, I'll tell the medium.
The
story.
medium story. Skip over the murders. Skip over any kind of shifty white collar crime. Skip over any kind of helicopter base jumping.
This is gonna be a boring story.
Those make me jealous. I always have to skip over the murders when I'm telling the story. There was a Don Thacker. He was born in the 1800s. I killed his family and assumed his person.
He died in a weather balloon.
He died in a weather balloon. Base jumping for the weather balloon.
He's watching Lost last night.
Sorry, the reason I bring that up is I'm always asked, like, how did you get into this? It sounds so crazy. And it's like, I sit at a computer. I don't know what's so crazy. So I have to work out. There's a murder. There's like espionage. There's always like white collar espionage.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I got into games development after drinking the blood of a virgin or something. I don't know. All right, go ahead. What is the medium story? Leave the base jumping in if you've got base jumping.
No, I don't have any of that, unfortunately. I think you guys instantly made my story suck by mentioning all that stuff. But yeah, basically, I was going to college for computer science, and the only reason I was going to college for computer science was because I was already a programmer. I was already like a hacker, and I figured, hey, this will be pretty easy. Like I can get a degree in something that I already know how to do.
Yeah.
So, but I had like absolutely no interest in making games. I really just wanted to make music, but you know, I don't know. I just wanted to get a degree and like have the degree for something later, and they just, I don't know, try to make it big in music. But then I met a girl named Naomi, which she's now she's now a concept artist for Activision, I think, or Blizzard, I should say. And she was just like, hey, you can program, we can make games together. Because I mean, I loved video games, but I just had no desire to make video games. And I'm not gonna lie, like she was really attractive, and I was like, I guess let me try to make a game with you, sure. So,
You fell into games because of a girl?
So it was a girl.
Hey, man.
Which is actually the way I fell into murder. Was a girl.
But I kind of just like got addicted to it, and then I just kept working on games. So yeah, that's kind of.
So now you do games.
Yep, now I do games. I still do music, of course.
Yeah,